Welcome to Franchise Marketing Radio, brought to you by SeoSamba. Comprehensive high-performing marketing solutions for mature and emerging franchise brands. To supercharge your franchise marketing, go to SeoSamba.com. That's SeoSamba.com.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Franchise Marketing Radio, and this is going to be a fun one. Today we have with us Deb Jewell with Premium Service Brands. Welcome, Deb.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Well, before we get too far into things, tell us a little bit about Premium Service Brands. What are some of your brands and how are you serving folks?
We are focused on home services franchises. We have 7 currently that range from painting to garage door repair and cleaning services and things like handyman services around the home. So we have been in business for several years and have acquired several of these franchises or franchisors in the last 2 or 3 years. So we're growing really rapidly right now and really having fun scaling this business.
And then the brands are, like you said, they're around home services of some sort. Can you talk about individually the names of the brands?
Sure. We have 360 Painting. That is the one that we have been in the longest, and that has our broadest reach. Then we have ProLift Garage Doors, Kitchen Wise, which is a kitchen organizing service, and that really involves kitchen organizing products and installing those organizers. We have Rubbish Works, which is a kind of a junk collection business. We have Renew Crew, which takes care of things like power washing, outdoor decks. We have Made Right, which is a cleaning service, both residential and commercial, and Handyman Pro, which is our handyman service.
Now, you're in the learning, you're part of the learning team. Can you talk about how you go about your work? Because all of these, have their own challenges, each one individually. But when you're serving all these franchisees, you have to have, I guess, some kind of strategic umbrella that they all fall under, I would imagine.
That's correct. Yeah, there are some things that are the same for all of these different brands and some things that are very different. And so we have to approach it in a way that everyone gets exactly what they need. What we started off by doing was looking at our existing franchise owners and talking with them about what made them successful. We talked to the ones who were more successful and figured out what was it about them that caused them to break out from the pack, so we could incorporate those things into our new franchise e-learning program. And so we go through a process where we start off with everybody together and we work through the business acumen aspects, because that is something that is very consistent across all of the brands. And then we split out into the individual brands and we work with them on their technical acumen that they need to know to run their particular type of business. And then we bring them all together in a live learning experience where we really work with them to hone their individual business plans. And some parts of that are done together as a big group where we are really learning from one another as business owners. And some of it is split out into the brand so that we can really dig deep into the nuances of a particular industry. And that whole process happens over a 3-week period.
Now, over the years, I'm sure it's evolved, this process, but with the pandemic, did this kind of accelerate some of the initiatives that you were maybe dabbling around with, but then you had to implement because of COVID?
Yeah, I think, and it's been a combination of the pandemic and also just by the nature of our scaling that I think a couple of years ago, we were really doing a lot of the learning in a face-to-face environment. Even the distance part of the learning was done over Zoom. It was done very, very face-to-face in real time. And so what we have evolved to is we have a lot more digital products. We have a lot more opportunity for our owners to access learning on demand, not just during the initial onboarding process, but also throughout after they have started their business. They always have access to our digital learning management system so they can access those programs. And then, of course, we had to learn how to do some things virtually that we would have preferred to do in person during the pandemic. But we really pushed and learned how to do some things virtually that in the past we would have thought that the only way to do it was to take somebody and physically walk them through the process. And so we've gotten really smart about how do we make these things on demand so that we can really train folks all across the country, and not just the owners, but also their salespeople, their technician, their staffs, all at the same time.
So now when you're implementing some of these innovative training, how are they received by the franchisees? Because a lot of these folks are kind of business owners for the first time. Maybe they worked in a corporate setting, but this is the first time they're kind of running the show or being, fully responsible for the revenue of their family through this business. Is there any kind of way that you've got them to feel comfortable or to just maybe allay some of the fears that they might have in approaching something like this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one thing that we are really focusing on right now is making sure we give our franchise owners the tools that they need to train their staff. And one particular pivotal point I'll use as an example that we think of a lot is the sales process, particularly the initial sales process when they're first meeting with a customer, doing that needs assessment, understanding what it is the customer needs, coming up with an estimate for the work that they need to have done, and then proposing that back to the customer and helping them walk through that decision process. So really the estimating and sales process, while we are teaching that to the owner when they come in, what we're doing is we're working on packaging this up into this really powerful, realistic, context-sensitive sales program that they can turn around and put their new salespeople and new technicians through so that the business owner doesn't have to learn how to be a trainer. And they can have confidence that all of their folks that they hire are getting consistent, high quality training in the best way to go through that very important sales process.
Now, when they're going through that process, is the training available like kind of in bite-sized chunks so they can get the information they need when they need it rather than, I got to go through this whole, multi-step training that, I'm just trying to get this one skill because I got somebody right now that I'm having a problem in this one specific place?
Yes, exactly. So we have a couple of different ways that our owners can go about it. They can either pick a specific course that they want their folks to take because it really focuses on a skill that they need to hone, or they can put them through a certificate process. And so that they can be, for example, a certified garage tech or a certified painting consultant. So that is really up to the owner to decide based on their needs for their staff that they're hiring. And that is all available to them through our learning management system.
Okay, so it's kind of a choose your own adventure. Whatever serves the franchisee, they can put their people through the appropriate learning.
Exactly. Yeah.
So now, what's your backstory? How'd you get involved in the learning community and franchising specifically?
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting thing. I actually, most of my career is focused in marketing. And for the past 6 years, I had been working for the University of Virginia Darden School of Business. I had gotten my MBA from there and was working with the faculty who have for years been ranked as the #1 business school faculty in the world. And I had the honor of working with them to develop executive education programs for corporations all over the world. And we would develop these programs and deliver them to help corporate executives learn leadership skills, management strategy, and so forth. And I knew the COO of Premium Service Brands, David Raymond. And one day he came to me and he said, I want you to bring what you're doing at Darden, a top 10 business school. I want you to bring that and make that available to our franchise owners and help figure out how we can make a program that's going to make them more successful in launching their business. And so that's how I ended up here. I think there were some folks who were like, but you don't really have a background in franchising, but I do have a deep background in business and in marketing. And so much of what we're doing is really marketing. It's really built on marketing. And so it really positions me very well to help our owners get up to speed with launching their businesses.
Now, how do you marry that kind of executive leadership kind of background that you have with so much of franchising, which is the standard operating procedure? This is how you turn the lights on. This is how you answer the phone, like kind of some of the nuts and bolts of why a person chooses a franchise, because a lot of those SOPs are just baked into the process.
Sure, that's a great point. And that is actually some of what I really love about this role. After I got my MBA, I decided, being in the learning business, that I enjoyed it so much. I decided to pursue my doctorate of education. And so I'm learning about educating adults and how that is different from educating children and what's important to adults. And I'm really focused on giving adults the skills that they need to realize their dreams on a particular, path. So in this case, the path is business ownership. And there are some aspects of that, as you point out, are very formula driven. They really need to follow a specific process. There are other aspects of that require more of their judgment. So a great example of that would be the sales process we just talked about. Another good example is hiring, which is a very important function of a franchise owner. But there are some areas where they get to exercise a little bit of strategy and creativity. And so what I bring to the table for that is that I have really learned how to apply learning science based on the type of skill that the adult learner is trying to acquire, and what is the best learning method for them to gain that skill and transfer it to their work setting. And you're right. A lot of the time it's very procedural. And so we have specific learning methods that address the procedural, but we also have specific learning methods that address things like decision-making and using their judgment in a kind of ambiguous situation like sales and hiring.
Well, kudos to Premium Service Brands for investing in the learning, because I think that this could be part of their secret sauce of really catapulting them to a new level, because a lot of folks aren't really, they give lip service to, let's make the manual. Hey, this is how you do it. And, good luck and prosper. But to really invest in an expert like yourself who can take their training to a new level and really kind of lean into this kind of innovation when it comes to learning, I think can really separate your brand from the others. And I hope the franchisees appreciate that. I hope they're using this a lot when they're pitching new franchisees, because this is a really important point of differentiation.
Yeah, some of the things that we talk about and we find franchisees get really excited about is, for example, we're working with a company, they're called Mersion. They're a very well-known company who works in virtual reality role-playing. And so when we're working with new owners and their staff on that all-important sales situation, for example, we'll be able to put them into this virtual reality role-play, and they'll have an opportunity to test out their skills, and we can measure their proficiency and then do some coaching some additional training, put them through that process again, and actually be able to see whether they have improved from the first attempt to the second attempt, whether the things that we did really worked for them. And that additionally, they will get from that a lot of confidence going out in the field because they've already been through the process a couple of times. This is something that owners get really excited about. They get excited about the idea that they can truly have experience in the important functions of a role, and their staff can as well, before they actually start, so they can really feel confident. So that is something that we talk about a lot. Another example, we're using a 360-degree video platform, so we can create a virtual learning environment for more procedural things like repairing a garage door, for example. So we can put that tech in the settings so that they're looking around the garage and trying to decide what to inspect and what to diagnose next. And these are the kinds of things that owners really enjoy because they're frequently coming to us. They don't necessarily know how to repair a garage door and they feel uncomfortable. How am I going to train a tech in what it is I need them to do? And so knowing that we're putting those tools in their hands really puts their mind at ease.
And especially these kind of cutting edge technologies, it's showing to their people, hey, even though the franchisee may not know anything about fixing a garage door, that at their disposal is this cutting edge technology to teach their people how to do it so they don't really have to.
Exactly. And, the other thing you mentioned earlier about the pandemic kind of accelerating things, ideally you might say, well, we have a training center where we have garage doors and we bring people in and we teach them how to do it, on an actual garage door. But in fact, right now, things are moving so quickly. People are coming onto the job. They don't have time to send people out to Charlottesville, Virginia to learn how to repair a garage door. And by using these virtual systems, we can have somebody in Minnesota, somebody in Florida, somebody in New York, all training on that process at the same time virtually. And that is something that is much more cost effective and much more efficient for our owners. And really it's just a better reflection of how fast business is moving right now.
And especially when there are kind of changes in the garage door, if a new one opens up, you can have the training probably in their hands in minutes rather than have them come back to see how this new door is installed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And that is something I think that creates a real strategic advantage for our owners.
Yeah, and I think so. I think if I'm a franchisee and I'm deciding which brand to align myself with, I want the one that's going to have my people up and running and skilled and proficient as fast as possible.
Well, we hope so.
Well, congratulations on all the success, Deb. This is you're doing important work, and we appreciate you.
Well, thank you so much. I'm really enjoying being in the franchise business, and I'm really enjoying working with the folks. They really seem to appreciate the work that we're doing. So it's been a lot of fun.
And if somebody wants to learn more about premium service brands, what's the website?
The website is premiumservicebrands.com.
Good stuff. All right. This is Lee Cantor. We will see you all next time on Franchise Marketing Radio.